Hey boys, it's HarmNone. Today we're going to be going over 10 vehicles that you need to own in GTA Online heading into 2025 specifically. Now there's a lot of really good vehicles in GTA Online, but in this video we're going to be focusing on the 10 best ones that you are going to want to own. We're going to be going over the features of those vehicles and why you need to own them, of course. Leave a like if you enjoy the video, dislike if you don't, of course, and consider subscribing if you're new. Let's go ahead and get started with number 10. So starting things off with the Kasatka submarine for $2,200,000. I just wanted to get this one out of the way right away because I figured everybody would just be expecting this to be the #1 vehicle on the list. I'm not saying it's the 10th best, like it's not the best vehicle on the list. I just wanted to get it over with right at the start because I feel like everybody is just waiting for this thing to come up on these lists, so let's just get it out of the way. The Kasatka submarine obviously gets you access to the Cayo Perico heist, which is still the best way to make money on an hourly timescale in GTA Online, despite being nerfed a lot over the last couple of years, to the point now where it's actually only really good for like 1 hour, and then you have to wait like 5 for a cooldown, unless you do some weird glitches and stuff like that. I think those are still working, I'm not 100% sure though. But anyways, the Kasatka is how you will get access to it. Plus it also offers a ton of other features that you can apply to it, like guided missiles, as well as the Sparrow helicopter, and many more things. The Kasatka is really cool. I never thought we'd ever get a military grade nuclear submarine that we could drive around in GTA Online, and not even just that, but let alone a vehicle that is as big as the Kasatka. This thing is huge and it's a really awesome vehicle. I would definitely recommend picking up a Kasatka. With that being said, let's move on to number 9. Now at number 9, I've selected the Vigilante, and you might be asking yourself, why the hell would you put this on the list? Well, for $3,750,000, you will get the Vigilante, and it has some of the most aggressive tracking missiles in the entire game, but unfortunately it does not have any sort of armor resistance to explosives, so it will die in 1 sticky bomb, 1 RPG, 1 homing missile. It will die very quickly. However, what it also gets is the rocket booster, which means it is the fastest land vehicle with boost counted in GTA Online, unless you have HSW on your platform. But out of the rocket boosted vehicles, this is by far the fastest. But the reason that I put it on the list is actually because you can use this in most missions. You can use this in contact missions, a lot of heist setups and things like that. And due to the missiles that it has, as well as the pretty high damaging machine guns and the rocket booster, this vehicle is going to enable you to get around pretty quickly and also give you some pretty good armament to take out NPCs as well as players, honestly, too. The Vigilante is a really good vehicle, and for less than $4 million, it's pretty hard to go wrong with it. Next up at number 8, we have the Buckingham DH7 Iron Mule for $2,345,000. Now, despite this vehicle not being officially released yet, I've decided to include this vehicle on the list as a must-own vehicle for 2025. The Iron Mule serves as a direct replacement to the legendary Cargo Bob helicopter that has been around since GTA 5 released all the way back in 2013. But the DH7 is a stronger, faster, higher towing capacity version of the Cargo Bob, and it's supposed to release in March of 2025 with the second half of the Agents of Sabotage DLC. When it releases, I would definitely recommend picking this thing up because it will be one of the very best vehicles in the entire game to use for grinding, and mark my words on that. Whether you're going to use it for delivering the ammunition delivery dune loader with the bunker, or sourcing vehicle cargo, or moving any other vehicle for a mission, this thing will be a complete game changer. It's got far superior armor to the Cargo Bob, being taken down in 6 homing missiles or 3 RPGs, which is quite insane for a helicopter, and it's also got a little bit of a longer towing chain, which will allow you to stay further off the ground when you pick vehicles up, and to make things even better, it can be equipped with chaff or flares for countermeasures. So this thing really is the whole package deal, and it is better than the Cargo Bob in every single way. Not to mention it can also lift much heavier vehicles a lot easier than the Cargo Bob, and you can fly at full speed When carrying a lot of these vehicles, like the Rhino tank here for example, it barely drags the Iron Mule down, whereas with the Cargo Bob it is absolutely miserable to tow a Rhino tank, for example. Next up at number 7 we have the Bravado Buffalo EVX for $2,140,000 plus an additional $1,418,000 for HSW. The Bravado Buffalo EVX is a vehicle that I was relatively critical of, just simply because I don't really like the overall look of the vehicle and what the vehicle sort of stands for. However, despite this, it is an excellent car for protecting the players that are inside of it, while also being useful for getting around fast. The EVX is an Amani Tech capable vehicle, meaning that it gets the missile lock-on jammer, armor plating, and the oil slick proximity mines that can be dropped in its wake. Additionally, because it's an electric vehicle, it can take significantly more damage than most other Amani Tech capable vehicles that have engines. For example, this vehicle can take 12 RPGs or 12 homing missiles, while most Amani Tech cars that have engines can only take 4 RPGs or the same 12 homing missiles. But the RPG armor is much better. Additionally, it's one of very few muscle category cars in GTA Online that are all-wheel drive, and this is of course going to help it get a much better launch and have significantly better traction in the corners, which muscle cars, as I'm sure you know, typically struggle with in GTA specifically. Plus, with HSW, it gets an increased top speed to about 145 miles per hour, which is quite fast all things considered. With all of these features combined, it's pretty easy to see why this vehicle is so good. I would definitely say that this one is worth owning. Next up at number 6, we got the Pegassi Toreador. For $4,250,000, the Pegassi Toreador is an awesome vehicle. Despite the price increase in April of 2023 from $3,660,000 to that $4,250,000 price tag, this vehicle is very much worth owning still. It's relatively well armored, being taken out by 2 RPGs or 6 homing missiles, but it has some great defenses of its own, like the extremely aggressive tracking missiles it is equipped with by default, as well as the very high damaging machine guns. Another defensive feature, but also just a good feature, is the vehicle's ability to dive into the water and traverse the seas in its submersible mode, which is pretty awesome. Now on land or in the water, it also gets access to a short rocket boost, which will propel the vehicle forward quite quickly. Under the water, it also gets access to sonar, which is useful for finding the hidden caches under the surface of the water. The Toreador is a great vehicle for taking out Oppressor Mark II specifically, and that is how this vehicle got its sort of claim to fame in GTA Online, and I still do think it is worth owning for anybody who plans on playing in public sessions. Next up at number 5, we have the Benefactor Terabyte. This thing initially goes for $1,375,000, but with upgrades, it can get pretty hefty price-wise, somewhere to the tune of about $5 million if you get everything for it. And with Agents of Sabotage DLC, the Terabyte got a bunch of additional upgrades available for it, making it a significantly better vehicle than it previously was. Now, the Terabyte could always be used to start supply missions or source missions for things like CEO Cargo, as well as other businesses. However, with the new update through the Garment Factory business, you can now upgrade it to have a master control terminal. And this will allow you to purchase supplies for all of your businesses from the comfort of your Terabyte. This was previously only available through the arcade, and it costed $1,740,000 to get the master control terminal in there, on top of buying the arcade itself. However, if you want to get it in your Terabyte, it will only cost you about $1.2 million. But if you've previously purchased the master control terminal for the arcade, you can get it for only $500,000, which is pretty darn good. Now, hopefully this goes without saying, but this is very convenient because instead of going to the arcade, you can request your Terabyte and it will spawn somewhere relatively close to you, allowing you to be more efficient. It has also had a silent running module added as an available upgrade, which will allow you to disappear from the radar while inside of the vehicle as long as it is stationary. Not the best upgrade, but it's a nice thing to have. And finally, it also got the addition of a missile lock-on jammer, which makes the Terabyte significantly stronger, so strong that I would almost consider it to be the best defensive vehicle in the game, and this is due to the fact that it could already take 32 homing rockets, but now it can't even be locked onto. So the Terabyte, in my opinion, is a must-own vehicle in 2025. It's got so many new features and so many new upgrades, I can't see not owning this thing in online, I think you're at a huge disadvantage if you don't. At number 4, we got the Pegasi Oppressor Mark II for an increased price of $6 million to $8 million. In April 2023, they jacked the price up on this thing, and I think it was honestly a good thing to do. Now, going hand in hand with the aforementioned Terabyte, we have the Oppressor Mark II, which is only customizable inside of the Terabyte, so that's just another great feature of that vehicle. But the Oppressor Mark II is truly the best vehicle for grinding efficiently in GTA Online. This is largely due to the convenience of spawning it, which you can just do by calling your mechanic or requesting it through the interaction menu, but also that when you enter into the vehicle, you can instantly get moving. Whereas with a helicopter or a plane, you will have to spool up before taking off. Although they do travel at much higher speeds, the Oppressor is simply more convenient for most repetitive grinding-oriented tasks. Plus, it obviously has the missiles that I'm sure we are all aware of, which are good for taking out NPCs and luckily are worse for taking out players than they were previously because Rockstar ended up nerfing the missiles a couple of years ago with the release of the Criminal Enterprises DLC. The Oppressor Mark II is still very much worth owning though. It is a great vehicle to own for getting around and completing some tasks for your businesses and things like that. At number 3, we got the Bravado Banshee GTS for $1,989,500 plus an optional $1.9 million upgrade for HSW. And it also has a missile lock-on jammer available for it through the Agency Vehicle Workshop. Now this is the fastest non-HSW car in GTA Online, and it's also the fastest HSW upgraded car in the game as well. So no matter what platform you're on, the GTS is going to be the fastest vehicle in the entire game top speed-wise, other than rocket boosted cars. This thing's insanely fast in a straight line. It tops out at about 140 miles per hour without HSW, making it the fastest land vehicle in the game, like I said, short of rocket boosted vehicles. But with HSW, it tops out at about 170 miles per hour, making it the fastest land vehicle in GTA Online, period. It also has pretty good handling as well, and it's got a good launch, and the downforce at higher speeds is going to be pretty good too. So this thing is not only going to be a monster for getting around the map quickly, but also when it comes to sports class racing. At number 2, we have the Akula Attack Helicopter for $3,375,000 to $4,500,000. The Akula is the best helicopter in GTA Online in my opinion. The FH-1 Hunter is also regarded as one of the best helis in the game, but it only really beats the Akula in terms of its offensive armament, but in terms of everything else, the Akula is just simply better. The Akula is the 3rd fastest helicopter in GTA Online. It also can carry 4 players, which is well above standard for attack helicopters that are similar to it, like the FH-1 Hunter for example, and it has optional homing missile pods or barrage pods that can be attached to it through the hangar workshop. It also has dual miniguns for the pilot and a minigun for the co-pilot, which can also be upgraded into a dual minigun as well. The pilot also gets access to bombs, which is super helpful and honestly kind of rare for a helicopter. But the most important feature of this vehicle is the stealth mode capability, which is toggleable by the pilot and allows the helicopter to disappear off of the radar entirely. So any players that are staring at the minimap or the expanded map are not going to be able to see you in stealth mode. However, this is not only just useful against other players, this feature is still useful because it will reduce your wanted level to only 2 stars. So if you're running away from a 5-star wanted level and want a quick solution, the Akula can be used as a great way to catch your breath relatively quickly by getting you down to a 2-star in just one click of a button. The Akula looks amazing. It's a very fun helicopter to fly. Overall, I definitely recommend picking this one up. For an honorable mention, we have the Imponte Duke of Death, and with the Agents of Sabotage DLC, Rockstar added the Amani Tech Missile Lock-on Jammer as an available upgrade for the Duke of Death, making the vehicle significantly better. A lot of people don't know this, but the Duke of Death is actually quite heavily armored as it is, especially for a vehicle that is free. It's able to withstand 4 homing missiles or 3 RPGs and still survive. Obviously 5 homing missiles or 4 RPGs will kill it. But with the missile lock-on jammer, it is so much better protected because those homing missiles aren't even going to be able to hit you unless The people that are attacking you have really good aim. The Duke of Death is an awesome vehicle and you should definitely pick this thing up, especially if you can get it for free. But of course the vehicle at number 1 is the F-160 Raju for $5,141,250 to $6,855,000. The Raju is the best overall vehicle in GTA Online. While being extremely expensive, it is extremely beneficial to own. The Raju is not only a great vehicle to attack other players, but it's also a great vehicle to get away from other players, or take out NPCs, or just simply get around very quickly. The Raju comes equipped with a VTOL mode, which is significantly better than the Hydra's VTOL mode if you guys are familiar with that. The Raju can get much better attack angles at ground targets and is much more maneuverable and responsive than the very clunky feeling Hydra. On top of this, it also comes with dual explosive cannons, albeit they are nowhere near as good as the Hydra or the lasers cannons are currently or were before. That's for sure. And it also comes with homing or non-homing missiles as well, which are similar to the Hydra and the lasers. Now on top of this, it's also the fastest accelerating plane in GTA Online, paired with an extremely high top speed of 232.5 miles per hour, which is the fastest in GTA Online. There's nothing in the game that will catch you in this plane. And it's so fast that it actually outruns its own homing missiles, which is pretty insane. But similar to the Akula, the best feature of the F-160 is the stealth mode capability that it has, which works the exact same way as the Akula's stealth mode. It's toggleable and it can also reduce your wanted level down to 2 stars by activating it, as well as removing you from the radar entirely when it's on. The Raju is an awesome plane and it's definitely one that I would recommend owning in GTA Online. I think this is going to be a solid lock as the number 1 best vehicle in the game for a long time running. Anyway guys, there you have it. Those are my picks for 10 vehicles you need to own in GTA Online in 2025. Let me know what you thought of my list in the comment section down below. Comment a 7 if you made it to the end of the video. Leave a like if you enjoyed or if you learned something. Dislike if you didn't enjoy or you didn't learn something, of course. And consider subscribing if you're new. With that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, take care. Peace.